Hello, I'm Jeff Schrank, and I've been studying a lot of advertising lately. I've identified 6 ways that ads work to persuade. Now, you might believe that ads work only on the other guy, not on you. You're too smart. You buy only quality values, top quality. Ads bounce harmlessly off your armor of skepticism. But if everyone is immune from their power, why is there so much advertising? It must work on someone, and that someone, sometimes, must be you. Let's look at some clever ways that ads penetrate your armor. The first technique is to involve you with the product. If you don't see the ad, it certainly won't work. Let's say you make a small European car and you want to sell the car in North America. Now, the car is far from breathtaking. It has no catchy name. In Europe, it does have a reputation for dependability. How do you capture the attention of a TV audience so it looks at your car? Here's how Fiat Motors did it a few years ago.
This is a man whose life depends on his car. He's Remy Julien, Europe's greatest living stunt driver. In Europe, there are 50 different kinds of cars to choose from. Yet, in the more than 100 films Remy Julien has made, he's done more stunts in Fiats than in any other car. And the Fiat he prefers above all is this one, the Fiat 124. A family car.
Nothing like stunt driving and high-flying cars to catch your attention. Much better than to have an announcer say how reliable and tough the car is. Catching the attention of an audience isn't easy. Studies show we have a hard time remembering television commercials seen only a few minutes ago. In one survey, 1,000 people were phoned at random. Those watching television were asked, "Can you tell me which product was advertised in the last batch of commercials you saw?" An answer was correct if the viewer could name even one of the last batch of ads. Now, how many people do you think could name one product? Back in 1965, 18% of the respondents could name a brand. In the same survey, in 1974, the number dropped to 12%. In 1986, the figure was as low as 7%. So you can see that getting your attention is problem number 1 for advertisers. Hello.
Hello, is this Mr. Schrank?
Yes, it is.
How are you doing today?
Fine.
Can you hear me all right?
Yes, fine. I hear you okay.
Now, Mr. Schrank, you would like to have a beautiful lawn, wouldn't you?
Well, did you notice the attention-getting device? Of course, the telephone ring is the main device. Many advertisers find it better than mail. Mail can be tossed in the wastebasket, unopened. But we find a telephone ring almost impossible to ignore. But that salesman involved me in the call. He didn't rush right into his sales pitch. He asked how I'm doing. He showed interest in my well-being. Then he asked, "Can you hear me?" Now, why would he ask that? To get me saying yes. If I say to him yes once or twice, it's a little easier to say yes to later questions like, "Can we sign you up for our lawn maintenance service?" So those innocent-sounding opening questions were carefully prepared involvement techniques to get me in the yes-saying mode. Or consider the advertising mail that seems to flood the mailbox. I've been saving mail for a few months. Here's one of the most common involvement techniques, the cutout or a sticker. You, the potential customer, are supposed to punch out this circle and place it somewhere on the order response card. The act of punching out the die-cut paper or tearing the stamp and licking it involves you in the sales pitch. You might say, that's not much of an involvement, but look at how many of these use a variation on that idea. Why do so many use this simple technique? Because it works. Direct mailers find this technique increases order response. They use other tricks to get you to open the envelope. That's one big problem with direct mail. Most people never bother to open the envelope. This sales pitch tries hard to look like some sort of high-priced overnight messenger delivered document. A favorite phrase on this type of envelope is immediate reply requested. This helps create a sense of open now urgency. This envelope says urgent message, speed letter. The front looks like some computer-generated form promising I may have already won $5 million. Inside, another involvement device, lots of stamps. Another trick is to create the impression that someone is sending you money. So a peek-through window that reveals what looks like a check is a common device. This envelope has an official-looking seal with an eagle on it. It reads, officially controlled and regulated. It is also stamped, official business, don't delay. As if that's not enough to force you to open it, it claims important automobile documents enclosed, open at once. And to top it off, notice, failure to respond will result in loss of cash disbursement eligibility. Translation, if you don't open this, you can't buy our offer. And of course, through the window, it looks like a check, perhaps for $75. There's no return address, another trick to arouse your curiosity. This envelope has no return address at all, and it looks like this might be a check. How can you tell it's not, say, a refund? Easy, look at the postage. If it's not first-class rate, it's almost certainly a sales pitch. This envelope says, personal documents enclosed, do not discard. Maybe it's a credit card. Better open it just to be sure. Inside you would find just another pitch for insurance. A fairly common device is a postcard saying you've won a vacation or a car or a motorcycle. All you have to do is call this number to claim your prize. Don't bother. It's just a way to identify people gullible enough to nibble. Another technique is to disguise the ad to look like something important. This one is labeled a selection notice and warns that it must be opened by a certain date. I guess selection notice means you and a couple other million names on the mailing list were selected to receive the pitch. This pile of mail all tells me the same thing, that I've probably won at least $1 million. All this just to get me involved. Of course, getting your attention is not enough. The next technique is to work on your feelings. Perhaps the most used and most successful technique in advertising is the appeal to emotional needs. The idea here is to show that a product can satisfy your emotional needs. Which needs? Well, the need, for instance, to be accepted by others, to be part of a group, or the need for security, the need for variety or excitement, the need for self-acceptance. There are others, but advertising probably uses the need for belonging more than any others. Researchers sometimes call people with a strong need to be part of a group as belongers, but we're all belongers to some extent. Use our product, the ads say, and you too will be part of a group having all the fun, or part of the sophisticated, successful elite, or part of the cool kids at school with the in labels. In the early days of television, advertising was more concerned with merely showing the product and less with filling emotional needs. Here's a television ad from a long time ago. Pardon its poor quality, but it's a nice example of an ad lacking an emotional sell.
Good cooks use treat just like ham.
On sandwiches, barbecued, in salads. They fry it, broil it, bake it.
Good cooks use treat just like ham, only more often. Why don't you reach for the star? Armor Star Treat.
Now, such an ad would be rare on television today. Instead, a food would be shown as promoting togetherness, friendship, belonging. Look at this ad for microwavable brownies.
Beep, beep, new, ooh, kiss, kiss, fudgy. In 4 fast minutes, fudgy sweet. Microwave brownies, fudgy new. They're microwave from you know who. Love it from the oven. Pillsbury. We're warm, we're hot. Beep, beep, pop, pop. New microwave brownies, they'll love a lot. Fudgy, fudgy. Giggle, giggle. Love it from the oven. Beep, beep.
Notice how the ad didn't show merely one person eating a brownie. It showed the brownies as at the center of a group of friends having a good time. That's an appeal to our need for belonging and acceptance. Here's an ad for soup. Notice how often soup is shown eaten with someone else rather than alone. Also notice the repeated idea that this is America's soup. By eating this soup, you share in that group of Americans who also chooses the same brand.
Chasing the chill away from a rainy day. Oh, something to warm you up. Wrap your hands around it. America's Cup, America's Cup. Lipton Cup of soup.
Hearty, wholesome, America's favorite cup of soup.
America's Cup, America's Cup. Lipton Cup of soup. America's Cup.
Now you know that no brownies or soup or brand of jeans will make you loved, popular, or socially accepted. But beneath this knowledge is the fear of not belonging, of being an outcast. And that fear leads you to grasp at products you see pictured as making people accepted. It works, and it works on you to some extent. Here's a television commercial that appeals to the desire to be part of that select group called winners.
Here's to the winners, those who move mountains. Here's to the miracles they make us see.
To American Express card members who see every new day as a new adventure, Holiday Inn says, wherever you're going, we're on your way.
Here's to the winners, all of us can be.
Bring the American Express card to Holiday Inn. Here's to the winners. We're on your way.
American Express often advertises its card as conferring membership in an elite group. Now that's far more persuasive than issuing a credit card. It creates a feeling of belonging. Let me show you a TV ad typical of this technique, but I won't show you the product being advertised.
Share your love. Find someone and dare to love. Find someone and share your love. Find someone and dare to love.
You probably can't guess what the product is, but you can see that the ad sells family togetherness, happiness, good times in the context of a loving group. The product is shown at the end to establish a connection in your mind between the product and the acceptance. Here's the ad again, this time with the product tag at the end.
Someone and dare to love. Ginger ale tastes like love. Canada Dry. Ginger ale. Ginger ale tastes like love. Canada Dry.
Find someone and share it.
Tastes like love.
Your rational mind knows that drinking Canada Dry won't make you loved, but the ad works on your feelings, not on logic. Here's an ad for American Airlines. It very clearly appeals to the airline's ability to bring people together, to create belonging and acceptance.
Called my men. I wonder, could the ties we made now join us once again?
Let American Airlines Super Savers take you to the special moments in your life.
The feelings we all share. We're American Airlines, something special in the air.
The ad sells a sense of community. Well, at least an airplane really is a tool of togetherness. But this same technique is used by products from cheese dips to paper towels, all in an attempt to appeal to your need to be accepted by a group. Automakers don't sell metal vehicles. They sell ways to satisfy your emotional needs. For example, why not sell a car to satisfy the need for change, for excitement, for an escape from the boredom of daily life. Why not indeed?
You feel the motion, the fever is high. You got a notion, you're gonna fly. You feel excitement, oh yeah. Riding Pontiac, get on your Pontiac and ride, Pontiac ride.
Le Mans, Le Mans. Imported, affordable driving excitement from Pontiac.
The Pontiac ad gives very little product information, but it makes clear that the car creates excitement. Excitement is the product being sold. Hairsprays, conditioners, shampoos, and personal care products also sell feelings. This ad promises you will feel salon beautiful every day. The feeling is the product being sold. This commercial seems to give the bar of soap almost magical powers to change the blahs into joy. As you watch, be aware that what the commercial really sells is a cure for feeling down.
Do I have to be a mom today?
Coast, the scent opens your eyes. Coast leather, and you realize that Coast is the way to make you feel alive. Coast, feel alive.
Hey, I'm just warming up.
Feel alive with Coast.
Certain words gain your attention. They attract your eye. Words like free or save, certainly new. Also the overuse of the exclamation point. These words have been effective for many years at attention getting, but other buzzwords fit modern times. For example, consumers like what is real, and they want to avoid what is artificial. So what do advertisers do? They assure us that something in the product is real. This salad dressing label promises real bacon and tomato bits. This cereal announces real apple bits. This snack promises all the goodness of real fudge and pecans. And this iced tea drink makes it clear it has real fruit juice and tea. You'll never see a label promising the taste of fake fruit with all the richness of artificial flavors. And this microwave hamburger goes overboard to demand you get real. At the bottom, it makes clear that it's real. The word is used 6 times on the page. Another currently popular buzzword is homemade. Lots of store products promise to have homemade taste. The trouble is, that's not something you can measure. If you read the labels of some products that claim homemade taste, you'll find ingredients that never appear in anyone's home kitchen. But the word homemade connects the product with childhood memories and good-tasting treats. This cookie tries very hard to appeal to those memories, and yet be honest. So it calls itself almost home, a nice, modest touch. Note, it also has the word real on the front. This ad promises a cake with homemade taste. Here, a canned soup proclaims, if you can't tell it from homemade, it's probably Campbell's home cooking. Here, a can of stuffing and a jar of gravy are labeled as today's home-style stuff. Here, the words homemade are written to resemble an old country sampler. All these ads use buzzwords to create positive feelings about the product. Associating your product with wealth, fame, riches, happiness, family, patriotism, or whatever suggests that some of this will rub off on the user. Now, there's a bit of magic in this. We humans seem to believe fame and success, prestige, are contagious. All we have to do is get close to fame and wealth, and somehow that will rub off on us. That's what's behind fan clubs, collecting autographs, reading about the rich and famous, and our obsession with celebrities. And that's why celebrities are used in ads so much. Not because they're experts, but because they're famous. Fame rubs off on the product, advertisers believe. If Raquel Welch appears holding a certain brand of lemonade mix, her fame, beauty, and reputation for fitness are transferred to the drink. Even George Washington can come back from the grave and endorse a TV set, even if the set is made in Japan. The most common association is with luxury and wealth. Here, a carpet company makes the connections both humorous and obvious. A chess set can be a way to share in luxury. And of course, if you want your car to be considered a luxury car, park it in front of the nearest mansion for your ad, or show it traveling down a prestigious and famous street. A product can be associated with patriotism by calling it America's favorite, or by inviting consumers to play a sweepstakes game with patriotic overtones. There are certain associations and connotations we have about the West. We think of uncomplicated living, rugged cowboys, strong individuals. So by showing a product in a Western cowboy setting, some of those qualities might rub off. This Marlboro ad associates a cigarette with the West and is one of the longest running ad campaigns ever. But thousands of other products have used the same idea. Here, a branding iron in cowboy scenes attempt to transfer feelings about the West to a fast food sandwich.
Burger King introduces the Bullseye Barbecue Burger, 2 flame-broiled burgers with cheese and bacon topped with a Western-style barbecue sauce. The Bullseye Barbecue Burger. Get it while you can at Burger King, the best food for fast times.
Here's the beginning of an ad. Now we've cut off the product identification. See if you can think of possible products that could use this beginning.
As long as I've known Tom, I need help, he's there. Sure, I'm glad to see you. Stay with you? Figured you wouldn't mind.
And when the last stray's rounded up, you head for the mountain.
Now that particular commercial was for beer, but there's no reason why the cowboys couldn't rest after a hard day's work and brew a certain brand of coffee over the fire, or roast man-sized hot dogs, or light up a cigar, dozens of products. Whichever product was shown, it would have the values of the cowboy rub off on it. Sweepstakes and contests work on this same idea. Just by entering, you share in the world of riches. You enter for the excitement of knowing you have a chance to become rich. I don't think people expect to win. Look at the odds. In small print here it says, your chance of winning the $1,000 is worse than 1 in a million. 25 prizes and 29 million labels. Many sweepstakes give what could be called fantasy prizes. In this one, a model announces, you could win my diamonds, my dress, and a Pan Am trip to Europe. People enter to be part of that fantasy, to enjoy the association. Not even cat food is immune from being sold with a connection to status and luxury. But at least this ad doesn't take itself too seriously.
The painting is by Goya. The rug is by Khorasan. And the gourmet cat food is by Fancy Feast. Fancy Feast. Good taste is easy to recognize.
The advertiser presents or positions his product as being just for you, a special kind of individual. Marketers pay careful attention to how they position their products. Colgate and Ultra Bright are 2 brands of toothpaste made by the same company, Colgate-Palmolive. They taste different, and I imagine their contents differ. But what is important here is that they are presented to different market segments. Colgate is for those concerned about preventing tooth decay. Ultra Bright for those more concerned about how their teeth look. Ads for the 2 reflect this positioning. Perhaps the best known example of brand name variety is in automobiles. Consider General Motors. You can't buy a General Motors, but you can buy one of their market segment brand names. They design and advertise Buicks, Oldsmobiles, Pontiacs, Chevrolets, and Cadillacs for different market segments. The cars are often similar in manufacture and sometimes in appearance, but they are advertised to appeal to different segments. What kind of woman do you think this ad addresses?
Hey, you're right. And the simpler I make my life, the happier I am. I went to the gym, came home, and colored my hair. It was nice and easy. You thought it was my natural color? I can't believe you didn't know. Thanks. Bill says it feels great. I think it feels like silk. I've got to go. Bill's family's coming for dinner. Yeah, the whole family. How can I sound so relaxed? Nice and easy. That's my style.
It is clearly aimed at fairly young women. If you said it's aimed at those who keep themselves in shape with workouts, know how to cook, use all natural ingredients, and can quickly make a no-sweat meal for a house full of in-laws, you're only partly right. That's a rather select group. The ad appeals to women who admire that kind of woman as well, women who would like to be like that. And that's probably a more sizable audience. Now, the belongers are a large and important group. Their prime interest is fitting in. It is important for this group to know their place. This group tends to be fairly happy. The family is the most important group. They are homebodies, conservative, and cautious about trying new things. They value tradition. Here's an ad that targets those who value tradition.
100 years ago, families first discovered log cabin syrup's rich maple taste. And since then, everyone's been helping with the dishes. Log Cabin, making breakfast since 1887.
Both these mouthwashes are made by the same company, Listerine and Listermint. Why would the same company make two kinds? Aren't they competing with themselves? Is one superior and one brand inferior? Not at all. It's another example of different images for differing values. Listerine has been around for over 100 years. It tastes like medicine. It appeals to the traditionalist and to the millions who believe that something that's good for you probably tastes bad, like medicine. Listermint was brought out in the 1970s in response to the competition's brand, who claimed clean breath without medicine breath. It has a minty taste. So Warner Lambert can sell a lot more mouthwash than if it appealed to only one market segment. If you don't learn to read, you'll never get a good job. If you don't sit up straight, you'll grow up a hunchback. Well, fear has to be one of the oldest persuasion methods. Recent studies, though, have found that fear works best when it does not scare too much. This magazine ad from 1926 shows a young man who lost out in the dance. The headline reads, "Turn down again. Perhaps it's comedones." What's comedones, you ask? Well, today we call it acne or pimples. This ad is crude by today's standards. Today's ads are more subtle, but the idea is often the same. Personal care products can often be sold by hinting that dreadful things can happen if you don't use this product. Here are two television commercials that use mild fear to persuade.
So what's little dandruff?
Okay, imagine you're at the social event of the year, and your dream girl says hello, just as you do this. Her first impression? What a hunk, and only a few flakes.
Give me a break.
The breaks are, you never get a second chance to make a first impression.
So?
So regular shampoos won't fix your problem. Try this.
Head and Shoulders? But you don't have dandruff.
Bingo.
Head and Shoulders, because you never get a second chance to make a first impression.
Well, you know the bad news.
Charlie Carlson is in the meeting of his life, and his shirt is perfectly dry. But that doesn't mean he smells good. Because underarm odor is invisible, he needs total protection. Sure Solid.
If everyone would take a look
Sure not only helps protect against wetness, it actually kills bacteria that cause odor. So Charlie, why go to work with a dry shirt and a false sense of security? Use Sure Solid, and be just as sure about odor as you are about wetness.
The first ad appealed to the fear of a poor first impression with the reminder, you never get a second chance to make a first impression. The second ad created a fear of body odors and a false sense of security. Fear is often used in public service ads. Fear is used to prevent drinking and driving, to stop forest fires, to warn against the effects of drugs. Here's a television commercial in which an advertiser uses fear not to sell his product, gasoline, but to warn against the wanton use of energy.
The year is 1991. I live in the underground city. You wouldn't like it down here, but up above, it's worse. Cars choking the streets, people choking on the air. We had our chance to clean up congestion and clear the air back in the 70s. We could have demanded adequate public transportation. We could have banned cars altogether from parts of our city. But we didn't do it. We drove ourselves underground. This is no way to live.
The ad shows a dreary world of the future. It creates feelings of dread. Now, most ads avoid fear because it is an unpleasant feeling, and they don't want you to remember that feeling when you think of their product. Remember what we said about association. So there you have it, 6 common techniques used in advertising to persuade you to buy. There are dozens more, perhaps hundreds, but these are among the most used. Instead of denying that ads work on you, perhaps you should consider what type of persuasion tactic is most likely to influence you. Examine your ad armor and identify the weak spots. That might help you gain a little more control over who persuades you to buy.